We reserve a few minutes Sunday morning to suggest news or trends that seem to be predicted by a literal, futurist reading of the Bible. We're always careful to use recognized, reliable sources for the news. There's too much sensationalism surrounding unfulfilled prophecy, and we don't want to add to that. Non-believers already scoff at it. We don't need to, start inventing things that are not truly prophetical. We're not saying the things we report are the definite fulfillment of prophecy, only that they are the things you'd expect by reading your Bible. Bible futurists have long understood that in the last days and going into the Great Tribulation, there would be a global system of personal identification. It involves what the Apostle John described as a mark on the hand or on the forehead. Sounds a lot like what we call biometrics, where there is some part of your biology or your hand, your head, your palm, your finger, those kinds of things, your retina, that can be used to digitally identify you and to grant you access to consumer goods and other systems. 3.5 years into the tribulation, the man Revelation calls the beast will demand everyone swear allegiance to him. Since everyone is already identified by and linked to a system, refusal will mean being cut off from participating in that system. Person wouldn't even be able to buy or sell groceries because they just wouldn't be on the grid, as it says, and there'd be no place to go to get off the grid. I don't want to sound like a broken record by looking only at COVID-19, but it's obviously the big story and maybe a last days game changer. COVID-19, not one of the pestilences we read about in the Bible. Those take place during the Great Tribulation, and we are not in the Great Tribulation. COVID-19 is serious, but it's a pandemic like we would expect to be happening in a world that is given over to sin and ruled by Satan. If it has a sinister, satanic purpose, it's that it is pushing the world population towards a global digital biometric system. It's the kind of system futurists have been predicting since the Apostle John wrote the Revelation. McKinsey and Company posted an article all the way back in May titled, "The COVID-19 recovery will be digital, a plan for the first 90 days. Here's some excerpts from that article. As one CEO of a large tech company recently stated, "We are witnessing what will surely be remembered as a historic deployment of remote work and digital access to services across every domain. Indeed, recent data show that we have vaulted 5 years forward in consumer and business digital adoption in a matter of about 8 weeks." He gives a list of different remote things that are taking place and says the list goes on and on. Then says fully 75% of people using digital channels for the first time indicate that they will continue to use them when things return to normal. Companies will need to ensure that their digital channels are on a par with or better than those of their competition to succeed in this new environment. Digital laggards will be substantially disadvantaged during the recovery. You don't want to be a digital laggard, do you? Lagging behind, you laggard, you. Next time you're in the store and somebody pulls out a check, you say, "You're a digital laggard." And they'll ask, "Where'd you hear that?" And you say, "That's what we learned at church." But anyway. My kind of church. McKinsey and Company projected COVID-19 as a 90-day pandemic, followed by a return to a new, more digital and global normal. World Health Organization chief, and he's got a name, I'm going to try and pronounce it again this service. His name is Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Pretty good. It's probably not how you actually, it's probably Jones, but anyway. This guy said on Friday, he's the chief, he said on Friday that the World Health Organization hopes the coronavirus pandemic will be shorter than the 1918 Spanish flu and hopes it will last less than 2 years. According to Ezekiel Emanuel, listen to the title this guy has. He's the Vice Provost for Global Initiatives and Chair of the Department of Medical Ethics and Health Policy at the University of Pennsylvania and Wharton Professor of Healthcare Management. He says a full return to normal isn't likely to happen until November 2021. We could return to normal as if COVID-19 never happened. It doesn't seem like that is going to be the way, though. It seems like there's going to be some kind of a new normal that is a digital precursor to the dreaded mark of the beast midway through the 7-year Great Tribulation. The Kinsey article said, remember, in 8 weeks, we've moved 5 years into the future digitally. And it's been a lot more than 8 weeks, and it's going to go on for a lot longer. And just when you think they've done enough, I mean, then we're just going to switch over to a whole digital world, just like John saw in the Revelation. Biometric technology by itself is not the mark of the beast. Christians have always been afraid of things like numbering systems. I don't remember, but when first Social Security cards first came out, some of you remember, 001110. But anyway, when some of the Christians thought this is it, it's the mark of the beast, they can identify all of us, and then every subsequent, ATM cards, microchips, whatever it is, technology isn't the mark of the beast. We are free to use technology in a positive way. The mark of the beast happens when the Antichrist comes on the scene and he says, hey, guess what? I'm God after all, and you're going to swear allegiance to me. Reminds me of when in the ancient Romans time they had to pinch incense to the Caesar, indicating that they didn't really think he was a god, but they were under his authority. It's that kind of a thing. It's that commandment that if you obey that and stay on the system, then you're going to be lost eternally. But you don't need to worry about doing that because we won't be in the tribulation. And even if you were, there's going to be an angel flying around heaven warning people not to take that mark. And so God is not going to trick anybody into taking the mark of the beast by biometric technology. We believe the resurrection and rapture of the church is an imminent event. Imminent means it could happen at any time. And it can happen anytime without anything happening before it. And there's some prophecies, certain things have to be in line before they can happen, but not with the rapture. It could just take place at any time. And it will happen before the tribulation. Jesus is coming in the clouds. He'll raise the dead believers of the church age. Then he will transform the bodies of living believers to glorified resurrection bodies. We'll all be caught up into heaven, which is essentially the meaning of the word rapture. It's to snatch away or to catch up. And we will be there in heaven while the earth endures that final 7-year campaign of what I like to call severe evangelism, because it's filled with judgments and terrible plagues, but it's all geared towards showing men their need for God and giving them their final opportunity to receive the Lord. As for us, are we ready for the rapture? If not, get ready and stay ready and keep looking up, because ready or not, Jesus is coming.